Welcome.
Welcome, colleagues. Welcome to the second of our live stream. So we've got 3 live streams running as part of our launch fortnight. The first one was, we're telling 3 stories actually. The first story was around Seva, one of our founding values. The second one today is community. Oh.
You still there, Joss?
I am. I think you just caught some of the other playing. But yes, the first one around Seva. Second one, we're going to tell a story around our story of community. And our third one next week, our story of potential. So I can see people are popping in, so that's fantastic on this really warm day. And for those who will pick this up on a replay, warm welcome. So my name is Joss Kang, and I've been working in the further education and training sector for around 20 years or 20 years or so. Initially in FE colleges, and then moving as a freelancer, particularly working on quality improvement programs around teaching, learning, and assessment. And past couple of years been working in a different role, crafting, designing and running, which Lou and I are now describing actually Changemaker programs, because essentially that's what they were. So we are delighted. So a lot of you know Dr. Lou Mycroft here, and we are delighted to be launching FE Constellations, which pulls through all of our learning, particularly over the past 4 years and particularly over the pandemic. It's actually a lot of change and shift is happening, as it always does. We have several grant-funded projects which are finishing, which has actually created a headspace to take the learning and launch FE Constellations into this space. So really, really warm welcome. And what we're going to do today is tell our story of community, then really unpack what is FE Constellations, what does it look like, what does it offer, what's the difference between the individual membership, the organizational membership, and then we're picking up a couple of questions that have headed our way through various channels from Changemakers. If there's any others, just pop them in chat and we'll pick them up, and we can also pick them up via social media, etc. Okay. So Lou, over to you.
Yeah,
story of community.
Yes, the story of community. Well, my story of community is that I've always been a community worker, and it's always been the thing that really excites me. One of the things that Joss and I have been doing for FE Constellations is writing our story and going right back to basics and realizing that that's always been the thing that excites me, bringing people together in community for a social purpose, for social change. Being in community is never boring, is it? It's not always easy. Sometimes, we have to really work hard to work together. But right from the start of my career, that's what I've been interested in. I was an HIV worker, working in public health, community-based public health. Went to Northern College, where I was for nearly 20 years, a social purpose, adult education college, and I worked on community programs. So it's always been a very deep identity for me. And almost by accident, Joss and I discovered a real secret sauce on the AP Connect program. And that was what happened when we brought people together. There's a saying, isn't there? It took me years to sort of figure out what this meant. But, you can say that something is more than the sum of its parts. And that's what community is. And I suppose the fancy word is exponential. What happens when you bring people together is exponential. One of the things that it allowed us to do over the last few years was really take a cool look at professional development. What does that actually mean? Well, actually, what we learned was in FE, it's very much been about expert-led CPD, learning stuff, experts coming along and teaching stuff. And actually, we discovered through research and the experience and the conversations we had, the co-creation of the last 4 years, what we discovered was, yeah, we need that. Of course we need that. It's what keeps us fresh. We don't need nearly as much of it as we think. And, I can't evidence this figure, but I have a sense that, 90% of what we need to do is professional learning, peer-led professional learning in community. And what that makes the difference, how that makes a difference is, it takes us from good intentions to action, to actionable ideas, to momentum, to making things happen. And that's why FE Constellations is community first, content second. Not to say one's more important than the other, but the energy needs to go into building those community architectures, creating that culture of belonging. And I've got a great example for you, Joss. I think only yesterday, but certainly this week, Charlotte at ETF released a whole suite of resources for education for sustainable development. And they've been hugely popular. We were chatting with a colleague at ETF this morning. People have been like grabbing hold of them. That is expert-led CPD resources created by an expert. We all know what happens to those good intentions when we try to really deeply integrate that work into our busy organizations. Stuff gets forgotten, it gets left on shelves for real or metaphorically. That's what the community does. That's what FE Constellations does. Helps you, okay, you've got the resources, then how are you going to use your change-making influence to actually change the culture of your college around sustainability and to contribute to societal change around sustainability? So that's the difference.
Fantastic, fantastic. And one of the things we've done, particularly with FE Constellations, is a change makers community. And initially, we're kicking off with the area that we know, which is further education and training. So anybody who works with young people and adults, and that's where we're starting. But actually, a change maker community is much broader than that in terms of it can spill into different disciplines, different, totally different vocations. And that's where we'll eventually go. But we start with what we know, and we do this well. So FE Constellations, it is a membership community, and we are launching week commencing the 27th of June, and we're launching that to our founding members. We're initially kicking off with 30 places for individual practitioners, those who identify themselves as change makers. And, this could be teachers, it can be support staff. Lou was telling me the story, actually, you'll pick it up in the first live stream, about some of the best change makers she's met are chefs, managers who are managing the restaurants in various colleges and adult providers. So change making is what we're interested in, regardless of role, rank, where people sit in organizations. So membership community, 30 founding places for individuals, 30 founding places for organizations. So we'll get into the nitty gritty of what that actually looks like. It is a virtual architecture. So I would say, Lou, I think it's fair to say actually 99.9% of it is going to be online. We are using a platform after working with various platforms. So we've worked with Slack, we've worked with, I'm just thinking.
Canvas.
Canvas, thank you. That's exactly what I was thinking of, Canvas. But the platform we've gone for now is a Mighty Network platform, and the expertise there is community first. Yeah? And it's really interesting to hear about the platform because the founder describes it as the software being mapped to human interaction. Yeah? So lovely virtual architecture there. Should we get into the nitty gritty?
I think we should. What is it? How's it work? How's it going to happen? People want to be able to go into their PDRs and, say to the manager, I want to do this. So let's get into how it's the nuts and bolts of how it's actually going to work.
Okay, nuts and bolts. So it is a membership community, which as a practitioner, individual practitioner, you'll sign up for. The fee for individuals is £250 for the year, and you can join in at start at any point of the year. So we don't have a start date, we don't have a close date, and that is really, really important. Once in, I guess there's a couple of things just to flag before we get into the nitty gritty, and that is the community is designed to mine know-how. It is designed to mine collectively our know-how. So our knowledge, our experiences, our stories, the way we get stuck and the way we move out of that stuckness. So it is designed to mine all that. So it's an incredibly carefully crafted program, which consists of 5 key ingredients. The the first key ingredient is what we're calling a sort of, it's a very fresh, evidence-informed, curated learning experience. It's light on content, but very heavy on design, intentional design. So it consists of, for example, we have every single Monday, there will be a Monday's poll. We know how busy you are on a Monday. So it's a fast and furious poll, and it gives people an opportunity to engage in a specific theme. So we have what we call a year in the life of a change maker. So 52, actually, it was 53 weeks we discovered this year, mapped very carefully to a curriculum, a change maker curriculum, mapped to, for example, themes on stuckness. You know, what is it to be stuck? How do I recognize what that looks like? Actually, what are the strategies people use to shift out of that stuckness? It's hard doing it on your own, but actually with a community, it's so much easier to move out of that space. So we've got various themes: stuckness, clarity, potential, imagining future. So Monday's polls carefully map to one of those themes. And then quick, furious engagement. And then on the Tuesday, and again, it's fixed, so it'd be a 7 o'clock. This is a live facilitated slot. We're calling it Navigating Sticky Spaces. It's a live facilitated space. We'll use and draw heavily upon thinking environment principles. It gives people an opportunity to bring whatever it is to the table. You bring the content, we bring the facilitation. And it's a brilliant question, Lou, you've developed for the Tuesday's Navigating Sticky Spaces. I think it's simple as, what do you want to get unstuck on? They will take place Tuesdays. We don't record those. Those are live sessions, and they're always an hour. And for those of you who've been involved in ideas rooms, they are magical spaces. Fridays, Freshest Insights. This is a live stream which runs via Mighty Networks straight to wherever you are. You can access it live, or you can catch up on it later. Fridays, Freshest Insights. That's me or Lou pulling together the threads of the week. Yeah, you know, what you've been talking about in the community space, the comments you've made to specific challenges, articles, and we're pulling together those threads, processing some of that week's learning, and we're talking, you know, short live streams. And map to that is we'll send your way what we're calling, you know, a stimulating artifact. It could be a podcast, always short. It could be a short video, a short article, but it's linked to that particular theme, and it's building on what you've been saying all that week. And then Sunday, Sense Making. This is a chat section, and you can respond to it again at any point, you know, asynchronously, and it's joining the discussion, and it's not really thinking about what have I done, and that's quite deliberate. The question we're posing is, what have I created this week? Yeah? Because change makers create tiny little ripples, and it always takes me back to an action researcher, and she talks about all change begins in conversation with people. Yeah? And that's what the community is about. But and you're mining that know-how of all the other change makers in that space. So that's our first ingredient. We also have a Think Note library, and you can access that at any point. And again, they will be Think Notes from leading practitioners as well as academics, as you know, from people who really have got something to say about change, about potential, about energy, about shifting, about creating. And the aim there is really co-creating this FE Changemaker knowledge base. And what we're really interested in is hearing from change makers themselves. So that will be a fantastic resource. The third part of the community is access to our flagship Changemaker program. You'll be able to access that. We'll be launching that in November. So when things get a little bit quieter for colleagues, you're back into the new academic year. Those who start in September, not everybody does. And that is a really research-informed offering, which really allows you to learn about building trust, absolute cornerstone of community, gathering that know-how, releasing. So Lou, you use this term a lot, golden unicorns. And that comes from Brené Brown, I think. Golden unicorns.
Brown, yeah, golden unicorns, those colleagues we know we all have who still have so much to offer, but their heads have gone down, their goodwill has been withdrawn. How can we release the capacity of those golden unicorns to share their wisdom and experience and thinking and expertise with us, and in doing that get really excited about their own practice again? So much wasted capacity within organizations locked away in those golden unicorns.
Absolutely. So it's not about increasing capacity, it's actually about releasing existing capacity, because we can't keep doing more.
Yeah.
So, and then the final part of that curriculum, the Changemaker curriculum, is creating cultures of belonging.
Yeah.
So incredibly exciting program, a Changemakers program, which will be available as part of that £250 membership offer. And potential challenges, that's our fourth ingredient, and I love this one. This will be a brilliant way of saying, hey, community, I've got to write a sustainability policy, help, or I've got to create a menopause wellbeing project, help. So this is really about bringing colleagues together so they can work real time on things which they are grappling with right now. And we've got the space in the architecture and the features to get you together in separate groups, etc. So that's quite an exciting bit of the program. We also have some biannual Changemaker retreats. One will probably be virtual and one will be face-to-face. And that's it. That's the bit that we will do face-to-face. But 30 places. We have had quite a few places gone already. And we've got people poking around. We offer a free trial. I think that's really, really important. Sign up for the free trial just to have a look and see what's going on. We launch week commencing the 27th of June, the actual program, but you can see what's going on in that space right now.
Brilliant, brilliant. And so just to recap, every week, a different theme, a different Changemaker theme, something to do. And while there's a logic to those themes, you can dip in, dip out. You don't get behind. You come in when it's right for you. You give it the energy when it's right for you. You might back off for a few weeks. Everybody goes through the program as an individual. That 250, I mean, we've agonized over the price, as you might imagine. The pricing point needs to be right. It is less than the cost of most academic conferences this summer, as far as I can see. Hopefully, we hope organisations will support that, because it's access to this whole wraparound professional development for a whole year, really. And we do have an offer for organisations. We want organisations to come on board as well. Again, the pricing point is really reasonable. It's what many freelancers, consultants would charge to maybe train 10 people, but you can send all of your change makers along as an organization. We're launching that a little bit later. If organizations want to get on board straight away, that's cool. But what happens is all of those change makers go through the program as individuals, supporting one another. So everybody is there in the same space, working through the architecture with different people coming and going at different times. And we hope you'll find it a really easeful space. There is a monthly version of the fee, but it's cheaper to do it, to pay up front for the year. That seems to be a model that works for people in online membership communities. Joss and I've been doing our learning as well with Mighty Networks, and it's been a great learning environment. And we have been part of that community and learned so much about what those experts in community, international experts in community, do to enable people to feel encouraged and belonging. So if you have experienced our work before, hopefully you've had a sense of the cognitive, emotional, physical wake of that belonging. And we're even better at it now.
Absolutely. I'm just going to pick up a question, because we did have a question from a Changemaker saying, how do I persuade my manager to pay for my individual membership? I think it's a brilliant question. And I think on a really practical level, think of it this way, it's fantastic value, $250 for the year. That's 365 days, instant access to a community who is grappling with very similar challenges. No start date, no end date, so you can join it at whichever point you want. And it's a fantastic way to actually test out for your organisation what the organisational membership offer will look like when that is launched, because that will be incredible value. The those are practical things, but on a deeper level, 3 key themes I just want to really quickly touch upon. One is around motivation, one is around pan-organizational, and one is around futures which haven't yet been imagined. And I think back to the work we did, particularly on AP Connect, some of those futures which practitioners came together as constellations have imagined, have been amazing. There's no way we would have got into that space to create that space on our own. So I am just going to, I think, just pick up one quote from a Changemaker. In fact, I'm going to pick up 2 actually. One is around motivation. So which manager wouldn't want staff saying something like this? Without the connections I've made, I think the motivation, energy, inspiration, and support I needed to not only do my job, but to do it well, with passion, do it better, would have been nigh impossible. That is powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And the second one I'm going to pick up is around pan-organizational. For those managers who really want to stay on the cutting edge of practice, research which we carried out last year, which was funded by the Education and Training Foundation, which really put the magnifying glass on change makers, found that being on that, I'm quoting this from one of our change makers, being on that boundary, the link between the organization and the outside is essential. It broadens horizons, it enriches, it expands thinking, it pushes and prods in the best possible way. So that's one way for managers and organizations who want to stay at the cutting edge of practice to invest in staff like yourselves so you can operate on that boundary space, really pulling that out innovation.
Brilliant quote. So to answer, in fact, a number of people asked the same question, really, Joss. And hopefully the other questions we've been able to wrap up in what we've said. So just really to summarize, dropped a link in the chat to FE Constellations landing page. We've put it all over social media. Have a look on that. The quotes, including the ones I think that Joss, you read out, are all on that as well. So have a look. They're really persuasive. But if you really want to go for it, why don't you, a couple of days before your PDR, sign up for the free trial? You get a week, so you can get in there, throw yourself into it, maybe, and then you will be able to articulate, I think, a little bit better what you will get out of that. And if there is anything else that you need from us to help make that sort of persuasive ask, then, just get in touch. Get in touch. And I think that's probably us for this week, Joss. Hopefully we've been able to convey the power of community there.
Fabulous. That's brilliant, Lou. Super. So I think that closes our second live stream, and we'll be doing the third one next week, and we'll be focusing on Potentia, our story of Potentia.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Whether you're watching it now or watching it back, we'll see you soon.